Have you checked the children?
Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play?
Sometimes that is better.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Horror Show. I'm Cecil, Laird.
Robert Duell.
Fuego here!
And here to close out the current, well, at least up until the recording of this episode, all of the Tremors material that we have up until this point. We've already reviewed 1 through 3, we reviewed 5 and 6, and we reviewed the series, which, of course, leaves over 4, which is a prequel to the whole series anyway, so it's fine to do it kind of separately. But,
Sure.
guys, we are here to talk about Tremors 4, The Legend Begins.
Damn
right?
Yes.
That's
Yes,
okay.
yes. They always keep coming to me and asking
I
me
know,
about
hey,
it.
you know, right? You
Yeah,
know.
I do know, yes.
Yeah, exactly. I did the same thing. I was like, back to perfect. Nope, that's the
I know,
thing.
that's what I
Legend
thought it was
Begins,
too.
goddammit.
Legend Begins. All right. So this one is the Western prequel to the entire series,
And a
which is
Western-
about a town called not Perfection, but
Rejection.
Exactly. And hopefully we'll have a shirt about that relatively soon. A little very niche shirt that we're gonna make.
Oh, but the knit shirts, man, or
Keep
the
an
niche
eye out.
shirts are the ones that really sell very well in my estimation.
Indeed, and
Yeah.
we might be able to conjure up some artwork for it, so I'm excited about that. But in the meantime, we're going to talk about Tremors 4, The Legend Begins.
Yeah.
Once again, starring Michael Gross, but otherwise an entirely new cast, because it is set in the Old West, 100 years before the other movies?
Yeah,
So
it was
late
like-
1800s?
yeah, I was just about to say it was like
Yeah.
1870-something?
Something like that, so a
18,
little bit more than
something
100
like that.
years.
Yeah, it's essentially taking the Back to the Future 3, sort of approach, which I appreciate the hell out of, because I love Westerns, and this is a series that already had those Western vibes to begin with the score, and with the setting, and all of that stuff. So this was a very logical sort of, storytelling jumping point. So to speak.
Indeed, and when we get into the story and the actors, we'll get into why it actually ties in well. But my overall thoughts, I gotta say, of the Tremors series, for a long time, this was my second favorite. I think I quite like 2 a little bit better now, but this is still better than 3 and maybe better than 5 as well for me. I really like this movie because it is the closest to Tremors 1 of any of the sequels and follow-ups, because it focuses on worms in the ground.
Yeah.
Some of them we do get introduced to the dirt dragons,
Yes.
which are another sort of evolution point for the graboids
Yeah, they
that
had
is
a
never
mobile-
talked about again.
Yeah, they had a mobile game about them, for God's sake.
Did they really?
They did.
I didn't even
They
know
did
that.
when the film initially
I
came out.
vaguely
Yeah.
remember
Yeah,
that.
yeah, it was called Dirt Dragons, and it was one of those like above kind of
Top-down kind of thing?
Yeah,
Okay.
top down sort of. Yeah.
So
Bird's eye
anyway,
views.
I really, really like this movie. Hiram Gummer.
Yes.
Yes.
The very first Gummer in what eventually becomes Perfection shows up, and he's a pacifist, essentially. He doesn't know anything about weapons, but he shows up to Rejection and ingratiates himself to the community, which basically is the forerunner of Nancy, who is the pottery girl, her relative, I'm assuming, or her analog. And then you get the original Changs.
Yes.
Like the first Changs to come over and actually create Chang's Market.
Yeah.
They're the ones that are there to do so. And then you get a couple of other people that you're introduced to as well. And, of course, Hiram Gummer shows up, who is someone that doesn't know anything about weapons, but finds out about the graboids, and they all have to survive the graboid invasion, and including the other evolution stage, which are these little dragons that can jump and fly into the air and take out a limb or two, and then bury themselves again before becoming full-on graboids.
It almost reminded me a little bit of the Burrowers movie that
Yes,
came
yes,
years
100%.
later and kind of borrowed some ideas from this movie. I would honestly admit.
100%. So I will say my overall thoughts are I quite like this movie. It focuses on the underground graboidness, which is what I like, and it is simple. It doesn't overdo the CG because they're trying to squeeze in, shriekers or ass blasters, and so I quite like this movie. Again, I think 2 I like a little bit more now after the rewatch, but 4 is still really high up there for me. So I like this movie a lot. Robert?
Okay.
Sorry, I didn't mean to take that much.
Thanks, Cap.
I had to
Thanks,
gush.
man.
I had to gush about it a little bit.
No, you're good. Actually, I'm actually really glad we went through all these movies and did a rewatch. Because I remember originally watching this when it first aired on Sci-Fi Channel, and I didn't like this.
Yeah, you said that
I
to
didn't
us.
like this movie at all. I thought it was a shit-ass prequel. But no, like, coming back to it and everything, I found so much more merit and enjoyment in this movie. Especially with... he's all he's all
I'm like,
giddy and
rock on,
happy.
yeah.
No.
He's not good.
Not wasting
I'm on the
time.
field as well because
Yeah,
this.
let's get go.
Yeah, this movie racks. Damn.
Yeah, but no, especially because like even with like there's the tie-ins and everything of little conversations that, in a sense, they talk about why no one knows about anything in the future.
By the end, yeah, they do
yeah, it's
decide to keep things under wraps.
it's kind of cool.
Yeah, the
It's
cover-up aspect.
Yeah, but even then, like the new like the sand dragons and everything like that, like the different evolutions that we now know of the graboids, I thought that was pretty cool. And again, upon the rewatch, I found a nice new appreciation. So I loved it, most definitely.
Nice. Went
There you
from
go.
not liking
I
it
was
all to
about to
loving
say.
it.
Yes,
That's dope.
I had a hell of a lot more.
I gotta
fun
be
with
honest,
this.
the bounty hunter cowboy made
yeah.
a big difference.
Oh,
That
yeah.
was
He's,
so awesome.
Black
He's
Hand Kelly?
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
is terrific in this movie, man. And that's the thing that, if I'm going to jump into overall
Please.
impressions and
Please.
stuff, I mean, the fact that this is maybe some of the best acting in the entire series.
Yeah.
As far as not being that hammy, but still having that little bit of tongue-in-cheek. Like
Keeping
just,
it
it was
grounded,
just enough.
as it were.
Well, and
Yeah.
I think that also goes back to like what he was saying too, going back to the original essence of the first movie.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that more serious with.
Land
Where it was
Jaws.
Still, yeah, where it was
Land
Jaws, yeah,
Jaws.
where it
That's
was
what's
still-
scary.
It was still more horror, and then like the comedy was peppered in,
Yeah.
and it just added some additional flavor, so to speak, and that's what this really did. And I mean, besides the great acting, they were well developed characters, and I liked. I mean, it's a very simple story, but the mine aspect and how that could be. I mean, we find out in the original film that it was like drilling or something that unleashed them initially in the first
Woke them
place.
up.
Yeah, same thing.
I've been
that-
trying
Yeah.
to sleep.
Yeah, and the same thing in this fourth film, and we get and thank God we went from a PG Tremors film in number 3 back to a little bit more gore at
PG-13.
least. I mean, PG-13, granted, but I mean the lack of even the moderate amount of gore was really just it stuck out like a sore thumb in that third film, and so I enjoyed this. I love westerns. I mean, especially modern ones that incorporate.
I do too.
Yeah, especially ones that modernly incorporate horror, like The Burrowers we talked about. Bone Tomahawk is
Yes.
another awesome film.
was a good one.
So I just really like when they meld those two sort of bits together. Characters were good. It's a very small and close set for the most part, but it's still it didn't feel like a set. It felt like, okay, we're in the West and there's really nothing that they could build to make a real town, and so that's what you get. So yeah, man,
Yeah.
I dig the hell out of this movie, to quote Mr. Robert over here. Every
So-
time I say it now, I think of it.
No, so I think we've pretty much covered the essence of the story too.
We
I
have,
mean,
yes.
they're settling Rejection Valley, and suddenly they're dealing with these underground worms.
People start going missing.
People
and-
start going missing, getting killed, and those scenes are actually fun because you get those old school cowboys around a campfire scene, and then someone wanders off,
I
and then you
wanna
just
play
hear,
my-
"Ah!" and you hear all the standard Tremors graboid sounds,
yeah.
and it's really dope. It really, to me, it brought me back to 1990 in that first movie where it was like, stay off the ground.
Yeah.
Like, I love, that is what is my most favorite part of the Tremors series.
Because the horses are disappearing and all that other stuff, and he's like, "Oh, the horse is like my accordion playing," and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Yeah, I dug the hell out of it. So yeah, story-wise, it made total sense as simple as it was. So I dug the story.
Yeah.
I know we've all kind of touched on it a little
No,
bit. so.
yeah, we don't really have.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed the story and everything. Again, I enjoyed it more now upon the rewatch than when I did originally.
Yeah, it's for me the arc of this Gummer forefather that I find so amusing. As
Hiram Gummer.
Yeah, exactly. As far as the writing, the fact that he is the total antithesis of who we know from those 3 previous films and the television series. You know, his great grandson, I think it
Something
is.
like that, yeah.
Great
Grandfather.
Yeah, and he's just so derpy on his bicycle coming from Philadelphia.
Like,
or
we got
Pennsylvania or
horses.
wherever.
Like, I've got this. Thank you.
I'm just fine,
Chain
so
falls
on and
off
so forth.
immediately.
And then also the fact that he was like just embodying the deniability. He's like, no, this mine is all I have, and there's no monsters in there. And they go, and he's just so fearful, and he doesn't even want to go in with them
Until
initially.
he gets a chain gun in front
Yeah,
of him.
he
so.
slowly works his way up and
The
just
cannon.
Yeah, he gains some bravery over the course of the film, which I mean,
The
granted,
punt gun.
yeah, it's a very simple film in a lot of ways, but it still has a very, I mean, simplicity often helps with something that is just very basic and primal and relatable, like this, with somebody who is a little scaredy cat initially, and they just work up their gumption, I was trying to do it there, and they're ready to, face uncertain evil. So yeah, man, I mean, I love Tremors 4. So
Yeah,
continue.
it was really good, you guys. So, acting wise, everyone does their darndest, and I don't think there was anyone that brought me out of the movie at all.
Thankfully not. Yeah.
Again, everyone's got their own unique characters to do, except Hiram, who is just a version of Burt Gummer that doesn't know about weapons yet. So everyone
But
does
he's
their
good at
job well.
engineering,
Yeah.
though.
Yeah, well, exactly. And so I think everyone did a good job in this one. I didn't have any issues with the acting.
I also really liked his relationship with the kid that was kind of the helps him with the bike and everything. I mean, that was like a really sweet little
Because wasn't he supposed to
Teaches him a shitty lesson with the yellow cake.
No, which was horrible. He's like, yes, if you take this away, you can have the last piece of my gingerbread, blah blah blah. And then he's like,
oh yeah, gingerbread cake,
nom,
yeah.
nom, nom. And he's like, oh,
It's like
you
a
should-
lesson. If you can
shouldn't
take
trust me.
advantage of someone, do so. I was like, oh, and then
Awful.
I love that it came back later, though. Yeah. So,
Indeed.
acting wise,
That,
Yeah, which
is that what we just talked about?
yeah, basically.
Kinda?
Yeah,
Little bit?
Kind of a little
for the
bit.
most
Yeah, for the most part, yeah. I didn't have any issues with any acting and everything. It was a TV movie and everything.
Yeah.
So it was really about it.
Yeah, I mean, above average in that regard,
Yeah.
as I would estimate. I mean, we still have that Tremors kind of country-ish soundtrack, which I love. It just and
Billy
this felt-
Drago is Billy Drago, you know.
Yeah.
It was-
Yeah, I mean, this felt a little bit more like reaching back time-wise, which was at least good. But it's just been that they were just emanating vibes of that sort of country western, sort of bit in all the previous films. And so, yeah, I mean, it just made sense for them to actually go back timeline-wise to this particular bit. And I'd love it, man.
Yeah, you could definitely tell at least
I love
Michael Gross was having a little bit of fun, kind of doing a new version of,
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
the Gummer and
The
everything.
complete opposite.
Yeah,
man.
you could definitely tell there were some scenes where he's like, "Yeah, this is a nice little pace."
Yeah,
pace
mustache twiddling, kind of.
Yeah,
I'm not exactly
yeah.
sure if I would like to do that.
change. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, no,
I don't have
I
a mustache
agree.
anymore.
That's just
You
the way
got to
I
have some
rock.
fun. Effects wise, I mean, the last thing we got to talk about for sure is
Effects-wise,
effects wise. I mean,
more
it's
practical.
not bad.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I was
they
getting.
went. I feel like they put more into the effects of this than they did almost the entire series put together, because there was more practical.
They probably had the
and,
numbers in, so they were more
They're
baking
like, okay, we
towards
need
the
to,
movie.
yeah. So I like that, the fact that it was a sand ground worm driven movie instead of the ass blasters or the shriekers.
Back to
I dug
basics,
it,
man.
and they
Yeah.
actually did have some practical graboids. One that got shot with a punt gun and had the corpse left over and stuff.
Yeah.
I dug it. I thought they invested wisely, and it didn't feel like a superfluous add-on.
No.
It felt like a genuine prequel that actually fit. As silly as the ultimate explanation as to why no one in perfection going forward knows about them goes.
Yeah.
That
A
was
little-
stupid.
A little bit of a cover
Yeah,
up.
but
You-
whatever.
You'd think
Let's
they-
just agree to not tell anyone about this ever again. It's like,
Despite
well,
the
why?
fact that they
Like,
because
die.
who knows? Yeah, they might never come back.
yeah, knowing about it is going to rouse them again. No, that's not how it works. But okay.
Yeah.
Outside of that stupidity, I really dug this movie.
Yeah, the ones
Effects wise,
Effects wise, yeah, no, for the practical that we got, it was like we were just talking about. You definitely tell, aside from if you've already seen the TV series or you remember it, more CG than anything. Except for you got your small little close-up shots, but this one they definitely utilize a lot more of the practical effects, especially with those worm thing, whatever the hell you want to call them.
worm
Dirt
vision,
dragons.
worm point of view.
Yeah, the worm
yeah,
point
the
of view
worm
and
view.
everything, and
Yeah.
like one
The
scene I want
Jaws
to
camp.
one scene I want to talk about too is like when they're in the barn and they start pulling out the.
I
blood.
love that.
That was exactly what
That
I was
was
trying to
Showing
find
the
it in.
intelligence of
Yes,
the graboids.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
like that because they knew
They're
it's like
problem
this
solvers.
is solid ground, so
Yeah.
we can move this.
Yeah, and that's where they were on the, they were trying to send the message Morse code wise. And
Yeah,
everything,
they
and
kept
just
moving
couldn't
further and further
decipher it.
back. Yeah.
Yep.
That is one of the most tense scenes in the entire movie.
It
I'm
is.
glad you brought it up, dude, because I was planning to at some
And
point
because
as well.
it ultimately was multiple graboids attacking
It
too.
was,
Yeah,
it was
like
dope.
what, 2, 3?
Yeah, 2 or
something
3,
Something
Yeah.
like that, yeah, because they shot up a couple of the snake things or whatever.
Yeah.
And a certain character going down, I was like, man.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
knew, you
Yeah.
kind of knew.
Yeah. But
Yeah, with
ultimately,
the
you guys.
bravado and the
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
bombast.
Any final thoughts? I think we've covered it pretty well. Saying that,
Yeah.
guys, if you haven't seen Tremors 4: The Legend Begins, it's worth your time.
Very
It is
entertaining.
good
If you-
graboid fun.
Yeah, and if it has been a while since you watched it, like
Been a while.
like, since
Since
me.
we watched that movie.
And if you didn't like it the first
Used
time,
to hate
give it
it.
another go. Because hell, you might like it this time.
Yeah, definitely. Wigissimo, any final thoughts?
No, man. I mean, I've sung the praises of this for a while, although I am
He
going
was
to
singing.
echo. Yeah, exactly. I'm singing the praises of them graboid films. Anyway, 2 might have leapfrogged this after a rewatch, but
Me too.
they're still so close for the sheer
Dude,
fact that
two's
both
still
of
the best.
both of them respectively did something drastically different from the first film.
Yeah.
And that's why I kind of hate on 3 so much, because it felt so much like a rehash of elements of
CG
previous
rehash,
yeah
yeah.
and I mean previous installments in the series, which as much as I have grown to love this series upon this rewatch, and 5, which I have checked out again recently.
Oh,
which
yeah?
5 is fun, man.
It's fun.
5
It
is
is.
really, really fun,
Yeah.
even though it's pretty much CG the entire time.
Yeah, and
which
apparently
is one of the
graboids
only-
don't attack from below now. They only attack from above by jumping out
jumping
of the dirt and then
like
coming down
like
on
grabbing
someone.
the helicopter guy.
Yeah,
and
it's
lunging
every
and
single time,
then-
it feels like, but-
yeah,
Yeah,
but
I
this
watched that
movie-
one once. It's like, I'll probably throw that on honestly
Yeah.
tonight.
You should.
Or actually,
Five is
actually,
good.
no,
Five is-
I need to
five
grab
is
the
fun,
HBO
man.
stuff because I want to binge Doom Patrol again.
Yeah, Doom Patrol. Is
I need to
really
finish
good.
up season 2, so that's
There you go.
what I'm
That
doing
is
tonight.
solid. That
But
is
but
solid.
as far as like the OG Tremors films and like that older timeline, because they waited 10-15 years almost to make Tremors 5. This is the last hurrah, and it's
Yeah, Tremors
very-
5 was 2015.
Yeah, and this
and
was 2004.
This was 2004, so
yeah,
this was 11 years
over
prior.
10 years. Yeah, so they took a major break, and this is.
But that's how they evolved the graboids, and it made sense.
Truly,
Yeah.
truly. So, but this is a good send off, man. Even if it does take place timeline wise way before, it's still it's
Indeed.
it's a ton of fun.
It is.
So if you guys haven't seen Tremors 4 yet, make sure you go and make time to watch it. If you have seen it, let us know what your thoughts are in the comments down below. Again, you guys, we have already reviewed Tremors 5 and 6 on the channel, so I'm going to link to those at the end of this video, so you can go and watch those. Tomorrow, our review is going to be for Tremors 7, the brand new Tremors Shrieker Island, aka Tremors Island Fury. They had a couple of names already, and we did a trailer reaction. It looks okay. We'll see what happens. Hopefully it improves over 6. I don't know that it's going to improve over 5. We shall find out. Now it's Bert and Napoleon Dynamite instead
Exactly.
of Bert and Jamie Kennedy.
Although
so,
also the wild card being
I don't know
dude
how I feel
from
about that.
31
That's just
and
yeah, Richard Brake.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah, who's that guy's awesome.
Wild
so,
card indeed.
yeah.
So we'll be back tomorrow to talk about that. Until next time, though, thank you very much for watching. I've been Cecil Laird.
And I've been Robert Duell.
Gracias al fuego.
And
Remember,
stay scared!
I don't know what's going on.
Grab
I don't know. I just went with it.
It's all
Western, you
me.
know? Fuck it.
Sorry, guys.